My name is Brian. Today I'm gonna teach you how to make professional video with an iPhone. The first lesson is never hold your phone with your hand. If you want it to look professional, unless you are a professional vlogger, which you're probably not, and you probably never will be, then stop holding the phone with your hand. Get a tripod. In fact, let's go ahead and get this out of my hand and onto a tripod so you can see what it is really supposed to look like. Before I put it on the tripod, I wanna show you the tripod because I want you to know that this is a very simple tripod. This is maybe a $50 tripod, $70 tripod, I'm not sure. It's super affordable with a phone mount on top. All this stuff will be linked in the description, but I wanna show you first what it's gonna go on. The most important thing is that this tripod is about 6 feet or higher because you always want the tripod to be about their eye level and you need a tripod that will go that high. This already has to look so much more professional just being on a tripod. I mean, when you're holding it with your hand, to be honest, you can't really hold your hand that steady. Even I can't hold my hand that steady and I do this for a living. So if I can't do it, I'm sure you can't do it. And so just don't do it. If you already think the video is looking more professional just by using this tripod, make sure you hit like on the video so that we know that this is working so far. I would say that putting your camera on a tripod is probably the most single important thing that you can do if you want your videos to have a more professional look. Honestly, with these new cell phones these days, this being the iPhone 11 Pro, their quality is so comparable to expensive cameras, it's really hard to tell the difference when you have them side by side. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is framing. So right now I am in a third of the screen. If you watch any movie out there, most all of them constantly are being filmed in thirds, where they're breaking down the screen into thirds. So if you want your video to have that better, more professional look, just film in thirds. I know the iPhone and most phones out there have little lines that breaks it into thirds for you, so you don't even have to figure out what the thirds are, but it will show you exactly where you should be placing your subjects. This brings me to my next point about the subject matter that you're putting within the camera. A lot of times when I'm seeing people film with iPhones or just in general, when they're not professionals, they're putting themselves up against the wall. Right now, you can see that I have some distance between me and the camera. Right now, the camera is maybe 20 feet away, 15 feet away at least. And we have some distance, we have some textures, we have some light, we have some natural light over here, a ping pong table in between. It's something different. It's not just my face and nothing else. Because just my face doesn't sell much. Kidding, but nobody's face does. It's more interesting when you have something that's maybe not so distracting, but yet there's more in the picture than just a face and maybe a wall. This is a more typical framing that I'm used to seeing from everybody else out there in the world who's not used to filming. You're gonna have the wall right behind you, just you and your face. It looks like I'm filming in prison, but I promise I'm not. I'm in my office. Sometimes it feels like prison, but I'm here working and trying to make this cool video, but it's really taking away from the cool factor with this super tight space. Wall behind me, face right up against the camera. This is not the best angle possible. The angle could vary too. You always don't have to be standing up. You always don't have to be sitting in a chair. You can get something a little bit more relaxed setting like this. But what I would say is when you're filming other people, even maybe yourself, I like having people sit because it keeps them from moving. Usually people move too much and the device usually has a hard time focusing on their face. Now me as a professional, I will pull focus, lock in focus on a face. Right now I'm doing everything auto straight out of the iPhone. Now one last thing I will say about setting is you gotta be thoughtful of what's behind you. Is there a bunch of mess or anything behind you that kind of is distracting? And actually before I started filming this, there was a light here that is a ball LED light that wouldn't be bright enough right now to be able to even show up and it would look weird sitting behind me, so I moved that. I had an internet router behind me on the couch that I also removed because it just looks weird back there because what the heck is that thing? So keep that in mind, always be thoughtful of what's behind you so it doesn't distract from what you're trying to do, which is probably tell a story of some sort. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is something that probably simple. In fact, the next two things I'm gonna talk about are pretty simple, but it is lighting. Lighting is key. Cameras work better with lighting and good lighting. And all I didn't set up any of my professional lights. I have a light right here that cost more than probably my first car, but I didn't use any of that. I'm just using my office lighting. Now, I did replace everything with LED lighting. It's pretty bright in here, and that's what I wanted. I wanted an environment where I could just turn on the lights and film no matter what. It's not very cinematic, but it's well lit and my cameras will function well and they will look well in this area no matter where I am in my office. Key is turn on all of the lights, even the lights that are in the background. I see a lot of videos with lights where the person is but not in the background. Those lights do a very good job at adding what we call as kind of like a hair light. So it's gonna show better the outline of the person that you are filming, or if you're filming yourself, it's gonna make you look better. And anything to make me look better, I'm always open ears. In fact, this is what it's gonna look like without the light on. Now we still have some lights on. There's the kitchen light, my back office light, but right now it's kind of probably weird looking. And I hope it is, because y'all need to see how weird this looks so you stop doing it on your videos. But this is not what it should look like. The camera has to be struggling right now because it's not a professional camera, and even a professional camera wouldn't really enjoy this environment unless it was filming like a romance or a horror movie. Next thing I'm gonna talk about, again, sounds silly, but I see it so much where I'm seeing these videos where they just look like they're horrible quality. But the truth is, I have clients hand me phones all the time and say, hey, can you take a quick picture or a video of this? Because they know I can do that and make it look good. And they hand me a phone that is all smudged up. This is gonna sound silly, but take the soft side of your shirt and wipe off that phone and get that icky stuff that is from your fingers off of the lenses. Sad enough, probably 50% of the people that are watching this video, that little tip there will probably dramatically change your videos from here on out. And you don't have to admit it, I just want you to understand that it's okay, because now you know. I mentioned earlier about the positioning of the camera. I brought it up slightly earlier, but I'm gonna bring it up one more time, that it needs to be roughly eye level. Do you wanna look skinnier? I wanna look skinnier. So you always have to have that camera about this height. Not too high where it's looking down on you. That's also not good, but not too low. It makes everybody look skinnier, and it makes it look like guys have more hair than they do. So it's a win-win for everybody. The last few tips I wanna give you are just camera settings and cameras in general on phones. First of all, most camera phones, or phones on cameras, whatever they call them, they have a camera on the phone that is better. Right now I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro. It has 4 cameras on it, 3 in the back, 1 in the front. Most people are going to want to use the one on the front. Wrong choice. The best camera to use right now, and it typically is this, and it makes a lot of sense, is the one that's kind of like the normal camera. In this case, they call it the wide angle. Not the ultra wide, but the wide. That camera lens is gonna work better in low light in basically all conditions. And typically that's gonna be the camera with a stabilizer on it if you don't listen to the first rule, which is don't walk with your camera. The other lenses are great, but you're typically automatically gonna start losing quality as soon as you hit record, and then your footage already looks like it sucks, and therefore you suck, and therefore it's not professional. So definitely use the best lens on whatever camera phone you have. The last thing I'm gonna give you today is going to be about the camera settings. You always wanna film in the highest quality setting that they offer. And what I mean by that is film in 4K. Well, why is that? Because it's gonna help you look more professional. If you've noticed during this whole entire video, I've been zooming in and zooming out. Why is that? Because I do not see? I don't talk perfectly. A lot of you think out there, I know you think I'm perfect. I get that a lot. I never get that actually. Nobody talks perfect is what I've found. I've interviewed Harvard graduates, some of the smartest humans, wealthiest people I've ever met in my life, and they cannot say a full sentence without saying the word hesitating, stopping, thinking, or sneezing, whatever might happen. And in between those, you can use the 4K and cut into your footage and cut out. You can cut in about 2 times the actual size of the current frame, which is really beneficial in making it look like you have a 2-camera setup, which therefore makes it look more professional. Also, I didn't take a lot of time in setting up this camera, care a whole bunch of how it looks. And so who knows, when I get to this footage, it might not be that great because I can't see myself. I don't know if I'm framed perfectly. So I know I framed it a little bit more wider, so I know I at least got my head in the video, but I might have to reframe it. In fact, I think on the shot over here, I was a little too wide. I was a little too far, a little too unpersonable. So I'm sure I cut in on that footage and you didn't even know that I was doing that until I'm telling you now and admitting that, hey, I didn't do a great job. However, I can make myself look professional or more professional by filming in 4K. Almost all videos online these days are only 1080 anyways, and that's what allows us to film in 4K where you don't lose quality because you could zoom in essentially on 4K because it's double the quality. If you would like to see any other tips or tricks on how to make better videos on your phone, like editing or what kind of software you can use on your phone to make it look better, please comment those things below and I'll look into making a video for you to make your videos look more professional and less sucky. If you'd rather have the pros take care of this for you, please click the link below to get some time on our calendar so we can talk about your next project.
Hide your neon cloud.